Welcome to SPARK StartHer, the podcast dedicated to sharing stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I'm your host, Elizabeth Goede, and I'm here to fan the flame of your entrepreneurial spirit. Each week, we bring to you the inspiring stories of women trailblazers from around the world who have sparked change in their industries, powered their ideas into thriving businesses, and pioneered their way to success. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a startup enthusiast, or a seasoned business leader, join us as we delve into the journeys of these incredible women whose tales will surely ignite a spark in each one of us. Today's guest is a true embodiment of resilience, reinvention, and empowerment. Jenell Kelly is the founder of Aligned Life and the creator of Insight to Illumination, a proven 5D framework to get unstuck and turn your desires into your destination. With over 30 years of experience as a registered nurse, Jenell has always had a lifelong passion for nurturing and empowering others. In her 40s, she fearlessly transitioned careers and became the successful owner of virtual health and wellness company, changing bodies and bank accounts globally for the past 7 years. Jenell's journey is marked by triumph over adversity. She has overcome multiple traumatic events, including paralysis and a surgical-induced stroke. As a two-time #1 Amazon International selling author, she bravely shares her story to inspire others. A highly sought-after international motivational speaker, trainer, certified clarity catalyst coach, and insight specialist, Jenell creates change one person at a time. Her most recent undertaking is creating a nonprofit to support new female entrepreneurs who have overcome trauma in life. Jenell is a proud Virgo, a loving dog mom of 2 adorable fur babies, and a passionate traveler who enjoys the beach life and palm trees of South Florida, as well as the tranquility of places like Wyoming. Jenell, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you. And, I just have to say, I'm listening to that intro and it's so funny, right? So often we create so much and it's remembering to pause and take it all in, right? It's so when I hear that, I'm like, oh yeah, what a journey it has been. And I'm so happy that you've asked me to come here and just share what it's been like, because it's just been a twisty, turny roller coaster ride of excitement and craziness,
I do. And, the one thing, I think you're my 37th episode today, if I have it correct. And the interesting thing is, I think I've had 2 guests of all of them that have actually taken a straight path. So it's more the norm than not for women to sort of take a not so direct path. And with that being said, so Jenell, you started your career as a registered nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you decide that you're going to sort of leave the healthcare side of things and decide to sort of venture into this path of being able to help guide women into, sort of, for lack of a better way to describe it, healing.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about how that transition happened.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting, Elizabeth, because in that moment, when you asked me, it was just because I was purely exhausted, on every level, and in retrospect now, I look back and I think, gosh, it was such accumulation of things that had happened in my life. And I had loved nursing. It was my purpose, my passion. It was a God calling. It wasn't me, because the one thing I said I would never be was a nurse who would ever want to take care of sick people, right? Literally came out of my mouth around the age of 10. And, at 17 years old, there I was finding myself in this healthcare, not even really knowing what I was doing. And so along the way, life happens, right? There's a lot of challenges. So, we speak of the overcoming paralysis. In 2011, just had a major injury, which completely flipped my entire world upside down. So, that's a whole healing process. So if you take the exhaustion of all of that, right? And then trying to take care of others while really needing to fully take care of myself, but being independent on my own and having to count on myself, you know, we do what we have to do. So this exhaustion had come from different areas and different things. And I just stood there one day and I just knew inside, like, I didn't want to do this anymore. And it was not the best feeling, because I'm like, what in the world am I going to do? Like, I was
Right.
42, I think, at the time when that happened. And I'm thinking, oh my Lord. And I knew it wasn't the place. I knew it wasn't the people. It wasn't the industry. It was just, I want it different, but I had no idea what it looked like, how I was going to make it happen. The thought of having to relearn an entire new career or something was just like, don't even come here with that, because I'm so exhausted that I can barely get up every morning. I hit snooze 5 times and I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel, you know? And that's how, you know, and then 2 years later, it was 2 years, 2 years of being there. They were the longest and most challenging 2 years. And as far as work went, I wasn't used to not loving what I was doing. And so that sucking the energy and life out of me was just every day, every day, every day. And there I was. They say I wasn't trying to serve from an empty cup, but I was like, I didn't have a cup. I was like, my cup had fallen, it shattered, and I needed to put the pieces of the cup back together to even get anything in it to serve from it. And 2 years later, a nurse had shown me a way with building an online virtual health and wellness company. Now, mind you, she showed me for 6 months and tried to tell me for 6 months, right? What I was asking for was right here, and I couldn't see it. Why? Because it surely did not look like what I thought God was going to bring, you know? And so once I realized that, Elizabeth, you know what it was? There was hope. She gave me hope. And I thought, well, if you can do this, can I do this? Like, is this a real thing? Can I really do this? And boom, there started the whole, I call it the second half of my life in the same lifetime, right? That's how I got out.
Jenell, what an incredible story. And I mean, I just cannot even imagine going through a traumatic, you know, type of event like that, and really sort of being able to surface and turn that around into something that, you know, you basically grew a business out of. And, you know, how incredible that you had someone cross your path that could help guide you and help direct you into this. Because a lot of what we talk about with women having businesses is the lack of mentorship that we have in this space of not really having a network, of a natural network of women that are looking to support, right? And especially depending upon sort of what age we all are, you know, that was even, you know, a competition, I would say, with women, depending upon where we were in our career at different points in time. And so Jenell, so you have this incredible experience. You are healed from it. You can see the vision into where it is that you want to go. And is it at that point that you you became the founder of the Aligned Life, or did you take a step in between?
Yeah, sure. I'll share, because it all unfolds, right? When we go, we all know that, you know, there's no coincidences, right? And it's like, as long as we keep following that inner calling, and yes, it's twisty and curvy because sometimes we're not quite seeing exactly where we're supposed to be, but I trust that everything we go through and every challenge has given me more knowledge and more wisdom in order to support more people, right? And you mentioned community. So I'd like to go back there for just 1 second, because ladies, that is everything. It was everything. And these women that were part of my Isogenics company, they were so nice, Elizabeth, and so supportive and so uplifting. And I was coming from middle management in the healthcare industry, which was not so much that, right? And so much so that I didn't even trust them at first. Like, it was weird to me, right? So I want to share that with people, because it was so out of my comfort zone. From everything to, like, I didn't even have a social media, any social media, till I was about 41 years old. So now, because I thought it was an invasion of privacy, right? So I mean, think of where, you know, I really want people to understand where I came from and how far out of my comfort zone I was going, because that's typically what stops people, right? And so to know that if you can I just kept showing up little by little, because that little voice, a little whisper in your head, it's telling you, and you know it. You know, it's just, you got to get through the fear and the judgment. And as you keep going, you start to learn the things that help all of that quiet. And that's why I love what I do now. But community is everything. And if you find it and you feel like maybe you don't fit in or you shouldn't be there, keep going back there because you do, right? Or else you wouldn't have been introduced to it in the first place. So through my first year of building my virtual health and wellness company, I was having success. I was having fun. I was getting out of my comfort zone, learning a little bit of mindset work and stuff. Like that, companies like that are amazing for that. But yet I had a burning desire to grow bigger, more. I just kept seeing more women, a bigger community. Wow. And I knew exactly what to do. I had the 3-step blueprint. I had this great community. I had some success. I knew what I could do, what I had to do, but I wasn't doing that.
Right.
And I was like, well, what the freak? I'm like, well, this is interesting. I was like, this makes no sense. Like, what are you doing? It makes no sense. And that little voice inside my head's like, this makes no sense. And so I got curious on why would I not be doing it if I'm saying I want it so badly and I feel it. And I let the curiosity guide me. And I started to just talk to other women. And I just ran into someone who said, oh, you get to go to gratitude training. And I said, is it going to help me get through this? And she said, yes. I said, I'm in. So at this point now I'm an open book, right? So I was a very closed, tight book and they were like prying me open. Now I'm an open book. And I show up to this deep transformational work, front row, little nerdy student, like ready to go, And I was just amazed by what I was learning and what I was unlearning. And so there I went through the whole program. And a week later, where everybody else is like, thank God it's over, we made it. I was like, can I go back? I want to be back. They're like, you can volunteer as a coach. So I did. Then I went back and volunteered as the captain. And then I sat there. And by this time, my entire world shifted. The way I saw everything, understood everything, quieted down all the judgment. And I said, I need the curriculum because this gets to, sorry if you hear my little guy, this gets to go out into the world. Not necessarily did I want to teach in those 4 walls, but I wanted the curriculum and I needed to understand it because they told me it never changed. And I thought, how does this never change? Every week I'm in here and there's hundreds of new people and we're training hundreds of new people. And yet it was totally different every time. Well, I was different every time. It had nothing to do with the curriculum, right? So I became a transformational trainer and I just combined that with, the nutrition for the body and then the nutrition for the mind and just had this big vision. And here we are 7 years, almost 8 years later, right? And we just opened the coaching academy literally like a month within this past month, and been teaching the courses from Stanford and just all these amazing things because I just kept going, right? Just kept going. Yeah.
There's a couple of things I want to make sure we touch on. One of those being gratitude. I remember one of my business partners started every meeting that we would have with this good news check-in. And if you really understand, which I know that you do with your background in this, but for any of our, anyone who's listening out there that doesn't, there is actually something that happens in your brain, a total difference when you actually start a conversation with something positive, right? When you think about gratitude, you think about something good in your life. It changes the fact your entire mindset for the rest of the time together because it's imprinted positivity. And so if there are people, I found this in my career, and I'm certain that you have as well. When people have a hard time giving positivity, right? Giving gratitude, celebrating success and wins, it's hard to actually get them to the next level because they are suppressing anything that could be positive in their life. So I'm so glad that you touched on that and that you talked about what a huge impact that had on your life. And I love the fact, it's like I connect with you so much on thinking about how you went back at a higher and higher level, like really dialing in to become like a master in that area, which I love. And so you had mentioned, about how you started your coaching academy about a month ago. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that looks like? Like, how did that come into the, into sort of the business that you had at that point? Why did you decide to create an academy?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. Like it's so exciting. I mean, I'm listening to you say it. I'm like, I did it, and you know what? The one thing I learned, Elizabeth, is one of the most powerful things, and I'll never forget. And it happened when I was on my journey with, I still build, my virtual health and wellness company, but I had hit a certain rank. I hit like number 26 in 26 countries this year, the year. And it was after like a major car accident. So it wasn't like everything was wonderful. Okay. It was like, everything was very challenging, but I chose what to focus on. And so when I think about that, like, and when I hit it and it happened, in my mind, prior to it happening, I thought it was like, I'm like, I did it? Like, what? And because in my mind, we always conjure up stories. So I thought it was going to look different or be a different way, or I was supposed to be somewhere else in my life. Like when you see the people who are shining at the top, it's like, no, here I am, like overcoming a major hurdle. Here we go again with the spine, my income was ripped out from under me as a nurse, all the things, right? And that there I was shining as top achiever. And I thought, that's interesting. Right. And so when it came time now, okay, so now I'm doing everything virtual with my trainings and doing all of that. And I just always pictured having a space, like a home place to, to have the trainings, to be able to have people come in the local area and stuff. And, again, it was like, it came in because I just kept going. It came in because I had conversations. It came in because I created a community called Chicks and Coffee and brought all these fabulous women together. But because I kept showing up, right? And I met people. And all of a sudden I met the person who, when I spoke with her name is Jenell Kelly. It was like I was talking in a mirror about what my vision was, and her vision was the same. And so we met again. And then we met up again. And Michelle happens to own the Love and Healing Energy Center in Delray here in South Florida. And she was wanting to implement the coaching in there. And I said, well, I had the coaching. I'm like, and we started to talk. And this is how also the nonprofit came about. So again, it showed up differently than if you asked me 4 years ago how it was going to show up. I don't really know what it was, but it wasn't what it was. It wasn't coffee. It wasn't chicks and coffee. Like, it wasn't the things that actually made it happen. And I think that's so important. Like, I just feel like I need to stress on that because we don't have it figured out. I always say, start with the end in mind. What is it you want it to look like? And then just keep your guidance, like having that inner guidance and cultivating our intuition and not having to ask others what we're supposed to do or where we're supposed to be. Like, this is why I'm so passionate about training these types of tools and techniques, because when you get that, like, you get it, and then you become unstoppable. Then your life becomes extraordinary, whatever that is for you. And so the Coaching Academy came about just over some conversations, and it was finally, because it was a vision. And I knew one day it would happen. It's not like I was like in the front of my head all the time, but anybody who says that they go from success from A to B and it's just a straight shot, it's not true. I'm sorry, I'm going to call them out. That's not true, right? Because the hero's process is we have this great idea, this aha moment, right? And you know what step 2 is? The freaking brick wall of frustration. It's step 2, and if we don't tell people that that's step 2, people they hit the wall and they walk away from their dreams, from their idea. But if you know that that's step 2, you say, oh, damn it, here's that wall that Jenell said. This is the wall. Okay, I'm going to put this right over here. I'm not going to give up on it. I'm going to set it here and I'm going to keep going forward, because eventually your allies will come in, right? Those people who are going to help you and support you. You just got to keep going. And when you know that it's a normal part of the 5-step process, then you keep showing up for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because you mentioned it, can you speak a little bit to what the 5 steps are?
Yeah, we had the aha, right? The great idea. It could be anything from like wanting to lose weight to starting a business to leaving my job to leaving my marriage, anything. And then all of a sudden it's this great idea. And what happens? We get so excited and we tell people about it, probably a lot of times the wrong people at first, right? And they just think it's impossible and you're so silly. And, my whole family thought I was freaking crazy. And so they're finally coming around to get to know who I am again, And then when you set out to do it, you realize, oh, well, it costs money. Oh, well, how do I do this? Well, how do I do the marketing? Well, what am I going to do if I leave this marriage? Like, how am I going to survive? Because it's been a together thing, all the frustrations and the little voices, guys. That's the little voice. We refer to as the itty bitty shitty committee. Okay. We have like 7 to 10 little personas up there that want to like steer the ship. And then it is your allies. Step 3 is like, put it on the back burner. This is just your allies digging down to see who do you have, or what community do you have, or what resources do you have. And if you don't have it in that moment, it's really about just continue to move forward and do the self work, do the inner work, get quiet, learn to meditate, to journal, to do those different things that help push you through, right? Because all of a sudden you get to step 4 and you're starting to build things. Things are starting to happen. You start to meet your Michelle. You start to have that coffee conversation with the person who's going to partner with you to make that next vision come true. And then step 5 is literally illumination. It's here, right? So we just hit step 5 in our life this month. And it's like, and then celebrate it, like celebrate the crap out of it. Because so often we are on to the next thing. And we just don't even stop and pause and realize that what we have right now is like what we dreamed of, you know, a year, 2 years, 5 years ago, right? So I had a big issue before all the trainings of ever celebrating myself. I was so hard on myself. And it was like, you know, I had to have coach after coach after coach through the training be like, hello, are you going to celebrate that? I'm like, what are you talking about? I said I would do it. I did it. It's done. I could do better. Yeah. That was me. Only boom, 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 so hard, you know? And I hate to share with you, but how we treat ourselves is how we treat those around us, right? When they told me that, I'm like, well, I don't do that to people. They're like, do you? Don't you? I'm like, oh God, you know? I was like, maybe I do. Maybe I do. You know, it's so fun. The whole journey, it can be a lot of fun and can be very dark and painful and lonely at times. And it's okay. That's why faith in God is so important, right? Because have something bigger than yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Jenell. I mean, there's certainly many points in there that I think that is a very common theme for women. You know, it's that need for perfectionism, that need to sort of like, I don't want to say do it yourself, but it is that idea of like, I can do it. It's almost like that toddler mentality, right? And I don't mean that in like a child, but it's like, you know, toddlers like me do, like, I can do this. Like, and I think that a lot of that comes from the fact that we've had to prove ourselves and we continue to have to prove ourselves. We had a guest on, you know, a few months ago that spoke to the fact that she had done all this research over 3 years, had done, I think it was like more than 3,000 interviews, and figured out that if we keep going the same path that we are, women still are not going to have equal salaries until like, I don't know, like 200 years from now or something crazy like that. And so I think what that says is we are still like having to fight really hard to get to the places that we are, which, I mean, you certainly have gotten to a place of starting your business. And I want to focus on sort of what that looks like, right? Because everyone has an idea of what it looks like to start your own business. And you are certainly reaching some pinnacles right now of like the things that you aspired to get accomplished, which is tremendous. But let's talk about sort of like I don't want to say the good, the bad, and the ugly, but let's talk a little bit about what has been, do you think, the biggest struggle or difficulty in having your own business?
Okay. The biggest struggle, because of my path and what's happened in my life, has been having the financial backing for my business, right? And so it wasn't enough to go through all that stuff in 2011 and take 10 years to heal from that whole spinal cord, all the things. Back in September, I think it was 2021, I was sitting in my car and literally got run over by a truck. Okay. So that has led all the way up until it was 3 years of, you know, recovering from that and then having a surgery. They dissected my artery. I had a stroke, right? Guys, this was a year and a half ago. This isn't like any time soon. And because of that, there were a lot of financial, as you can imagine, a lot of financial burdens, you know, from that. And so when you're starting your own business and you're keeping on top of your own life and doing all these things, it's just like, you know, that survival mode is real. And that, by the way, that whole proving yourself is doing it yourself. That's a whole another conversation, but survival mode is real. And so it's been me learning to harmonize, like keeping everything afloat while investing my money into my business, while trying to figure out the things, and then like applying for the grants and finding out ways to do it. But I got to get going because the work gets to get out there, or else we hesitate and pause forever. So it's challenging. But it's as challenging as we make it up here. Right? It's as challenging as you make it up here. If you think that it's supposed to be easy, if you think that there's not supposed to be things that come in and interrupt us, well, you have to understand that we're here in this planet, in this human form as life, to learn things and to have challenges. So it's not about the challenge, it's how you handle the challenge. Right? It's all a mental game. So mastering the mindset and my emotions is one of the greatest tools. And if you're going to build a business, work on your foundation. The foundation is like literally get started from within and clean up, like, that whole like being a victim to things is not going to work for you. It's time to like buckle up, buttercup. And you get to be hard on the outside and soft on the inside. I think that's one of the greatest things I learned about how far I've come. And so as I start this business and I work through, it's just get done what you can get done. Leave that perfectionism, that having to do it yourself. It's all a story. None of that is true. Right? So we can struggle as long as we want. I mean, it's challenging. Michelle and I are always like, we can't do enough in a day, right? We have VAs, we have things, but every day there's an ongoing list. Now, if you look at the ongoing list and see it as stressful, as, oh my God, it's never going to get done. Like if that's your thing and you're not getting stuff done, there's a lot to look at. There's procrastination, there's self-sabotage, but just know that that's a beautiful ongoing list. And that's why it's so important every time. I'm telling you, ladies, mark it off every week, every day, make your list, and then make sure when you complete something, you check it off, because you're probably doing more than you realize, but you're not taking the second to like recognize that you did it, right? And everything starts to unfold and it starts to come together. But some days, I say to people, Elizabeth, some days in this journey, my greatest day has been going from the bed to the couch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, and some people think, if you understand that, that's okay, because life's gonna life while you're in here creating it, but you are the director. But sometimes it's not so easy. And it was going from the bed to the couch. And I'm serious about that, and so you're like, oh shit, that's normal. Okay, wait, that's what I'm doing. Oh, okay, great. Then I'm on the right path. Like, that's what I would say. I'm like, oh, someone told me that's okay. Oh, that's okay. Then I'm on the right path, because we get to stay in things as long as we choose to stay in them. Right. And sometimes our body does require quiet and healing and all the things, so it's important that we know that that is just part of life. It's part of the journey. Right.
Yeah. And I want to dig, you sort of touched on it and we got so much valuable information, but I want to circle back to, you had mentioned that one of the difficulties of having a business is sort of the financial piece, right? Because there's sort of like a multitude of financial pieces that go into having a business. There's the income side, like how do I support myself so that I can still eat and pay for my house and pay for my business space, pay for my employees if you have them, right? Well, I should say that. Then there's the business side, right? Which is like the softwares, the tools, the staff. It's all of those pieces. And sometimes what happens is we're really good at paying for the business, but we're not always good at paying for ourselves, right? So we've got sort of those pieces. And then we have the do-it-yourself, I can do it mentality. So when you think about the financial piece, and I believe that that what you had in your that you've been self-funded. So that means that basically you've been, either finding other jobs or making the money from your business to actually pay for it. When you think about creating your academy, that is certainly not an inexpensive endeavor. So have you thought about approaching other sources for funding, or where, have you had a different thought about funding your business as you've sort of gotten into it?
Absolutely. And here's what I know, right? Here's what I absolutely know is that we live in an abundant world. Okay. And when you have an abundant mindset, we live in an abundant world, and you're willing to show up and plug in, you will learn that there are thousands of grants out there. okay, for business owners, especially for women, for small business. Now, do you have to take action and do the work to get it? Absolutely. Right? So there is money out there for us. It's just a matter of being able to access it and showing up in the right room. So I am surrounded. I'm very blessed to have, and I created it. I co-created this wonderful community and here in Boca, and there's so many wonderful philanthropists and people willing to help and people willing to step in that, it's all about, I know you keep wanting to go about the money, but really, guys, it's a be, do, have world. Who do you get to be, right, to have what you want? Sometimes you got to completely change who you are, right? So I had to be a certain way. I had to take certain steps. So it's be, do. So what did I get to do? What do I get to do every week? Where do I get to show up? How do I get to pour into others for support to come back? All right, so there is funding available. Somebody just now this week sent me 2 emails with somebody who does small business loans. They don't base it on credit. They don't base it on any history like that. It's amazing. And that just came into my world. And because I'm very open and very honest about things, vulnerability is wonderful. We got to stop acting like we have it all together and we have everything we need. And the more real we can be, then people can actually step in and help. It's not a weakness. And I used to think it was, right? And it's not. And I still work. I still work in the nursing industry. I had to go back to work after having the stroke because the stroke year kind of knocked me off my booty for a little bit, And so then I needed to go back. And do I want to be there? Not no, but do I feel blessed every day I get to go back? 1,000%. Right? And I'll keep doing what I get to do. It's, do whatever it takes, right? That's what it is. And it's not for the weak. So when it comes to funding and it comes to your money, again, get started. We didn't wait. Michelle and I didn't go, oh my goodness, what does it look like to have an academy? We need all this money to do. No, we had every resource we needed. We have a beautiful EE system healing energy center, right? That has scalar wave energy. We have all the knowledge. We have all the tools. We have all the trainings. We're able to we both have VAs. We're doing what we do, and that thing's going to grow and explode. And when you believe it, right, it happens. I think sometimes we get too caught up in the 3D world of things. That's what I said, really shift your mindset and realize that it is because you say it is, but then be the person, right? Who went before you? Who is successful? Who can you just go and say, how did they do it? Don't mimic them, be you, right? Just take a peek. How did they do it? Okay, put your blinders up and go, right? We are the only one in our own way, whether it comes to time, money, resources, we are the only one in our own way. And when you get through that, you just get it. I'm telling you, that's the magic. That's why the inner work matters so much. That's why we teach what we teach, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the talking about the abundant mindset, right? Because there is sort of that scarcity will kill you. It will kill your business.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, and I also appreciate the fact that it's sort of things happen, right? And we sometimes have to make decisions that are not not the direction that we felt like we wanted to go in. But we're thankful because it gives us the opportunity to still continue to do the other thing that we want to. I can't tell you how many people don't have a plan, but they know that they just don't want to be in the job that they're in. And, they want to take on other people's passion projects. And, I would say that, and we talk about this a lot on this show, but it's you better love what the thing is that you're building, because it is that thing that you will do anything to make sure to see it forward. And you can't do that with somebody else's passion project, right? It's got to come from here, from your own place, your own, whatever that thing is. So thank you so much for sharing that. What do you think has been the greatest thing about having your own business?
It's the inner journey. It's nothing really, and it's all the inner journey. It's who you become in the doing, right? And Elizabeth, you just nailed it on the head. You hit the nail on the head. It can't be someone else's passion project. It can't be what somebody else wants you to do. So really getting to know your purpose and your passion and your God-given why. Guys, it's all the undoing. It's all taking off all the armor. It's letting out, it's all the layers coming down. It's the healing from the inner child. We are not here as the same being. We can all be given one great opportunity, but that you're only going to flourish with it with what's up here. Right. And so we didn't all have the same background. There was a lot of undoing and a lot of healing that had to take place for me to get to where I am today. And then a beautiful journey brought me so close to God. And then I got my God-given why, and so when you have the God-given why, it's your bigger I am. You don't identify with what you're doing. I identified as a nurse. I literally had to it was a grieving process to let go of that field. I loved it. I was ER trauma. It was very, and even when I was exhausted of it, I was like, oh my God. And I was sat there one day and we had a horrific thing that happened down here in South Florida on a Valentine's Day with a massive, not to go gruesome, massive shooting, whatever. And I remember sitting there that day though at the desk. And I just remember watching all the nurses that I had hired and brought in and we trained. And I was just letting them run the show for the first time and letting back and letting go of control. And I heard it. The download just came in and it says, you can go. They got this, Do it still took me a year after that to leave. You know what I mean? So really when you can connect more and get quiet all the noise of the world, when you can learn the tools, the techniques to release the judgment, to quiet the committee that we have in our head, all those things, it's you connect divinely, and your I am shows up. And then it's a God-given purpose. Then that you are protected. I'm I have a whole army behind me. You don't need to see them. I know they're there because I was brought here for a reason. And so was every single person on this earth. It's whether or not we tap into it, right? Yeah, that is what gets you up every day. That is what keeps you going. That is what lights you up, right? And then when you figure that out, it's okay, and nothing can stop you. Nothing, not strokes, not paralysis, crazy stuff, right? Nothing, not worrying about funding, not worrying about who's showing up for it, because it's already done. You're the director. Life is the movie, right? Yeah. The world is the stage. Everything you need is just waiting in the sidelines for you to create it. So what are the thoughts going through your head? What is the emotions you're putting out? Are you in the present moment? Are you worrying about the past? Are you fearful about your future? All that matters because it's all energy and attracts like. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So Jenell, as we get towards the end of our conversation, I want to make sure that if people are interested in really diving into their 5 Ps with you and, really resonated with what they heard today, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, I love Facebook, so you can find me there, but I have a site. And if you are an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's a wonderful little site. You should get one too. It's my name, Jenell, JENELL.Komi, KOMI.io. So it's Jenell.Komi.io. When you go on there, you'll see you guys can create your own little mini website. And all your events can be there and anything you've done, any talking, writing, and all that kind of stuff. You can sell products from it. It's fabulous. So yeah, that's the best place. And I have an email letter you can sign up for there too.
Okay, fantastic. And then the last question I'm going to ask you today is, and I ask all my guests this, what is one word or a short phrase that you would give as inspiration to another woman who's looking to start or grow their business?
Okay, how programmed are we? In my head, I'm Nike, just do it. I was do not say that, Jenell. Don't say that. I want to say the most powerful thing that was said to me, and it comes up, and we're years later, and it comes up, was a woman was on stage, and what she said to me was, just keep going. Right? Just keep going. Whatever, go with the vision, go with the whisper, go with the calling. And then when you start to bring it fruition, just keep going, take the next step, right? When all the crap hits the fan and you're just whoa, 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 keep going, right? And find community. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those are all really good points. And then just last, is there anything else that we didn't cover today that you feel would be important for other women to hear?
No, I've really, a lot lately, I've really just been talking about the realness of it, and that just understand that how you're feeling, whatever it is, I guarantee you that it's natural. that it's normal, that you are on your road to success, even when it doesn't feel great. Like just know that, because that was important for me to know, because I used to look up and Facebook and Instagram, and everybody has us seeing the best of everybody's life. And that comparison will want to kick in, and you think, oh my goodness. And that's why I talk about like, oh, this looks so different. Like I'm here and I made it, and this totally is not what I thought it would look like. Right? Like I thought I had to be somewhere else. I thought I had to be someone else. Like it's just so interesting. So wherever you are in your path, you're exactly where I know, very cliche, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, but it's true, right? And reach out, get support. Going it alone is going to be super hard. And if you get successful going it alone, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, I think that that's really true. And I would add on to that also is if you have the opportunity to be a mentor and a guide to other women that are looking to take the next step, extend the hand. That would be, I guess, my and.
Yeah.
Well, Jenell, thank you so much for being my guest today. It's been an absolute delight having you here today. What you're doing is so important in helping people sort of turn their life into the one that they would love to have. Thank you so much to all of our listeners who have tuned in today to the Spark Starter Podcast. It's been a pleasure bringing you the uniquely inspiring stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I've been your host, Elizabeth Goede, and on behalf of all the awe-inspiring entrepreneurs out there, I encourage you to not only dream big, but to ignite those dreams into action. Remember, every spark can lead to an extraordinary fire. So keep the spark alive for today, tomorrow, and the vibrant future beyond. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to never miss a spark. Until next time, stay ignited.